Alien girl insists. Humans have magic, demands a demonstration. He just smiles. Elias Vance swore, the sound a dry rasp in his throat, as the scout ship's emergency thrusters sputtered and died, sending them spinning into the atmosphere of an uncharted world. The corporate raiders, a phantom menace on his sensors for the last 2 cycles, had finally gotten their lucky shot. He was done running. Now he was just crashing. The planet below was a blur of emerald and bronze, ancient structures peeking through an impossibly dense canopy. He braced for impact, the familiar pang of loneliness a dull ache in his chest, a constant companion since he traded the sterile hum of human space for the quiet desperation of a derelict salvage. His ship, a patched-up relic, hit with a sound like tearing metal, then silence, save for the drip of coolant and his own ragged breathing. He woke to a strange light, a phosphorescent glow, emanating from tall, slender beings with multi-jointed limbs and faces that seemed to shift with an inner luminescence. They moved with an almost ethereal grace, their movements precise, economical. Elias, still dazed, tried to push himself up, but a pressure against his chest held him down. One of them, taller than the others, with an aura of cool authority that transcended language, stepped forward. Her glow was a deeper, almost indigo hue, radiating a quiet intensity, her gaze, which seemed to hold the cold depth of nebulae, fixed on him. "Subject has regained consciousness," a voice chimed, perfectly synthesized in his comms unit, translating the alien's guttural yet melodic speech. It wasn't a question. Its vessel exhibits structural compromise consistent with extreme atmospheric entry. Yet, its organic form remains largely intact. This is unexpected. Elias blinked, his vision slowly clearing. He tried to speak, his throat hoarse. Where am I?" The indigo-hued alien's gaze sharpened. "You are on the confluence world within the sacred biodome of Ethel. You are not Solani. Your form is singular." She paused, her luminous features shifting almost imperceptibly. "Our instruments detect no discernible energy signature from your person, yet your vessel defies destruction, and you yourself exist. Such resilience, without the aid of resonating life crystals, is anomalous. It suggests a hidden force." Elias managed a weak laugh. "Hidden force? Lady, I'm just a guy who knows how to brace for impact. My ship's a rust bucket, not a miracle worker." She tilted her head, a gesture of deep contemplation. "Rust bucket, miracle worker. These are not terms in the Solani lexicon. Yet, your device, this ship, demonstrated a manipulation of gravitational forces beyond our current understanding, and your very being, a defiance of natural law as we perceive it. We have long sought the silent resonance, a latent ability whispered in our oldest scrolls. Your presence suggests you possess it." Her voice, though formally translated, carried an undercurrent of something akin to awe, or perhaps a dangerous curiosity. "I am Lyra, daughter of the resonant line, and I must understand your magic." Elias, still half-pinned, felt a strange prickle of amusement. "Magic." He just smiled. "Magic? You mean like pulling a quarter from behind your ear?" Lyra's luminescent eyes narrowed, missing the humor entirely. "A demonstration. It is required." Her gaze was unyielding, demanding. Elias realized, with a sinking feeling, that his usual dry wit was completely lost on these beings. He wasn't just a crash survivor, he was an enigma, a problem to be solved, and possibly a prophecy. And the way Lyra looked at him, with a mix of suspicion and a dangerous glint of something unreadable, told him his life might depend on whether he could pull a rabbit out of a hat, or more accurately, convince her he wasn't a god or a demon. The biodome hummed around them, a symphony of alien life, and Elias knew, deep in his bones, that he was utterly, hopelessly out of his depth. Lyra, her indigo glow intensifying slightly, as if reflecting a heightened internal state, motioned for her guards. They were less delicate than she, their movements swift and purposeful as they secured Elias, lifting him with surprising gentleness, but undeniably binding him. He felt the cold press of a smooth, flexible material against his wrists and ankles, and noted the intricate, almost organic patterns woven into the material. It pulsed faintly, a soft, rhythmic thrumming he could feel in his bones. It wasn't painful, but it was absolute. "You will be brought before the Council of Elders," Lyra stated, her gaze unwavering. "Your anomaly must be assessed. Our ancestors speak of beings from beyond the veil, capable of altering reality through sheer will. You possess no crystalline conduits, no resonance amplifiers, yet your survival defies known principles. This is not a matter of quarters from ears, human. This is a matter of the very fabric of existence." Her tone was formal, precise, each word a carefully placed stone in a ritualistic path. Elias sighed, his shoulders slumping. "Look, I'm an engineer, not a sorcerer. My magic is knowing how to fix a leaky pipe or jury-rig a power conduit. It's called science, where I come from. Or common sense." A subtle tremor seemed to pass through Lyra's radiant form. Science, common sense. These are mere categorizations for the manipulation of cosmic energies. You label it, we seek to understand its source. Our scholars have debated the nature of the silent resonance for cycles. Your arrival is significant. She turned, her flowing garments, which seemed woven from light itself, shimmering with her movement. "Prepare the subject for the trial of resonance. Elder Kale will wish to observe its every reaction." Elias felt a chill, colder than the biodome's humid air. "Trial of resonance? What does that even mean? Am I going to be put on blast?" Lyra paused at the entrance of the damaged ship, turning back to him. Her luminous eyes held a flicker of something Elias couldn't quite decipher. Concern? Impatience? "The trial of resonance is not on blast, human. It is a profound inquiry into the true nature of your being, conducted through the ancestral pathways of shared consciousness. Elder Kale, though a respected voice, holds a rigid interpretation of our ancient texts. He views external influences with suspicion. Your survival is indeed anomalous. His judgment will be severe should you fail to demonstrate your harmlessness." Her voice, while still formal, carried a hint of a warning. It was the closest thing to empathy he'd seen from her. As he was led deeper into the biodome, the air grew richer, thick with the scent of unfamiliar blossoms and damp earth. Giant bioluminescent fungi pulsed with soft light, casting long, shifting shadows. The ancient structures, revealed now in the ambient glow, were vast, cathedral-like, built from living, growing materials that seemed to intertwine with the technological remains of a long-dead civilization. It was breathtaking and terrifying, all at once. Elias was marched through sprawling chambers where Selene engaged in rituals he couldn't comprehend. Meditation poses that defied gravity, energy streams channeled through intricate crystal arrays, voices chanting in harmonic frequencies that vibrated through his very bones. He was brought to a central chamber vast and open to the towering biodome ceiling, where a circular platform of polished obsidian pulsed with a soft, warm light. Around it, several Selene elders floated, their forms radiating various hues, their gazes converging on him. One, a towering figure with a crimson glow that seemed to burn with an inner fire, drifted forward. "This must be Keel." His glow seemed to prickle Elias's skin. "This is the outsider?" Kale's voice was deep, resonant, lacking the synthesized translation unit's clarity. It was raw, powerful. It bears no mark, no resonance signature. It is an empty vessel, a void. It must be cleansed. A void cannot contain the silent resonance. It would only consume it. Lyra stepped forward, her indigo glow a calm counterpoint to Kale's fiery aura. "Elder Kale, the law of Ale demands a full trial of resonance before judgment. Its resilience is undeniable. We must ascertain the source of its anomaly. Its very presence here, within the consecrated biodome, suggests a purpose, however veiled." Her gaze flickered to Elias, a silent question in its depths. Elias just managed a shrug, constrained by his bindings. He definitely felt like he was about to be on blast after all. The ritual began. Elias stood on the obsidian platform, the pulsating light beneath him growing in intensity. Lyra moved to stand opposite him, her luminous palms extended, a faint thrumming sound emanating from her. Elder Kale and the other council members formed a circle around them, their combined resonance a palpable wave that washed over Elias, making his teeth ache. Lyra's gaze locked onto his, and he felt a strange pressure against his mind, a gentle probing. It wasn't invasive, not exactly, but it was deeply unsettling. He felt his memories, his emotions, stir beneath the surface of his consciousness. As if being gently sifted, he saw flashes of his life, the cold solitude of space, the warmth of a long-lost campfire, the grief of a funeral, the dry humor he used as a shield. He heard Lyra's thoughts, not as words, but as impressions, a sense of ancient lineage, the crushing weight of duty, a profound sadness that seemed to seep into the very essence of her being. Then, abruptly, a jolt, a crackling sound, like static electricity, filled the chamber. The biodome itself seemed to tremble. The soft hum of the crystals intensified, then wavered. The light from the obsidian platform flickered wildly, and Kale's crimson glow flared with alarm. "What is this?" Kale's resonant voice boomed, laced with fear. "The resonance is unstable. The outsider is corrupting the connection." Lyra's eyes fixed on Elias widened. Her indigo glow pulsed violently. Elias felt a searing pain behind his eyes, a sensation of something tearing, something wrong. The energy binding him to the platform strained, and the material around his wrists glowed hot. A strange, rasping sound filled the chamber, not from the Solani, but from somewhere deep within the biodome itself. It was a guttural, ancient sound, like the earth groaning in agony. The beautiful glowing plants around them withered and darkened, their bioluminescence fading into a sickly pallor. Then, the piercing scream of a Solani guard echoed from outside the chamber, followed by a cacophony of panicked shouts. The trial of resonance was over, replaced by an invasion. The shimmering wall at the chamber's entrance exploded inward, showering obsidian dust and living plant shards across the floor. Horrific, chitinous creatures, dark as shadows and writhing with bioluminescent tendrils, poured into the sacred space. They moved with a disturbing, disjointed gait, their multifaceted eyes glinting with malevolent intelligence. They were unlike anything Elias had ever seen, more like biological nightmares sprung from a twisted dream than actual organisms. Their presence alone seemed to suck the light and life from the biodome. Lyra cried out, a sharp, uncharacteristic sound of alarm. She tried to maintain the resonance field around Elias, but the creature's sheer force overwhelmed her. The energy bindings around Elias's wrist shattered, sending fragments of glowing material scattering. He scrambled, his muscles screaming. To his feet, Kale and the other elders, their luminous forms flickering with distress, attempted to form a defensive energy shield, but the creatures were too numerous, too fast. One of them, larger than the rest, its tendrils pulsing with a sickly yellow light, lunged directly for Lyra. Instinct took over. Elias didn't think. He didn't hesitate. He tackled Lyra, shoving her violently out of the creature's path. They tumbled to the obsidian floor, Elias cushioning her fall with his own body. The chitinous monster screeched, its tendrils lashing out, narrowly missing them. Elias rolled, pulling Lyra with him, scrambling behind a fallen pillar. "You gotta be kidding me," he muttered, his heart hammering against his ribs. "Did I just sign up for alien zombie apocalypse?" Lyra pushed herself up, her usual composure fractured by shock. Her indigo glow was dim, her face momentarily devoid of its customary light. She stared at him, her multifaceted eyes wide with a mixture of confusion and something that looked suspiciously like awe. You defended me." Her voice was barely a whisper. "You are not of the resonant line, you are unbound." "Why?" Elias risked a glance over the broken pillar. Kale and the remaining elders were locked in a desperate battle, their energy blasts pushing back the encroaching darkness. But they were being overwhelmed. The biodome, once a sanctuary, was becoming a tomb. Because I don't like seeing people get eaten, princess. Elias snapped, his voice rough with adrenaline. It's a human thing. We're big on not dying. You got any magic that turns these things into glitter? Lyra shook her head, her luminescent hair shimmering faintly. These are the umbresh, parasitic life forms, dormant for cycles, trapped beneath the biodome by ancient Solani wards. Kale, he must have disturbed them with his aggressive resonance. During the trial, he sought to draw out your silent resonance, but unleashed the deep hunger. Instead, she looked at the fraying battle, at the elders slowly being consumed by the creeping shadows. We must retreat. This sacred place, it will fall. Retreat where? Elias yelled over the sounds of battle and the grotesque chittering of the umbrash. Looks like the whole place is falling. He spotted a narrow crack in the wall, half hidden by overgrown moss. That way, maybe there's a service tunnel or something. I'm guessing your ancient ancestors had maintenance crews. Lyra stared at the opening, her expression torn between desperation and the rigid formality of her lineage. That is the path of whispers, human. It leads to the undercroft. It is forbidden. Only the resonant line may enter, and only in a ritual of ancestral calling. Well, unless your ancestors can conjure an escape pod right now, we're gonna have to break some rules. Elias grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the crack. Her skin felt strangely cool, like polished stone, yet a faint warmth emanated from her. No offense, but your forbidden looks a lot like my only way out. He squeezed into the narrow opening, pulling Lyra behind him. The last thing he saw before the crumbling wall obscured their view was Kale's horrified face as an umbresh tendril wrapped around his leg, pulling him down into the encroaching darkness. Elias felt a pang of grim satisfaction. Maybe Kale deserved it for unleashing this horror, but now it was their horror too. The path of whispers was a winding, claustrophobic tunnel, barely wide enough for them to squeeze through. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and something metallic, like old blood. Bioluminescent fungi still clung to the walls here, but their light was weaker, sickly. Elias navigated by feel, his hands brushing against smooth, ancient stone and strangely resilient plant growth. Lyra followed closely behind, her luminous form a ghostly beacon in the oppressive darkness. He could feel her shudder with every rustle in the unseen depths. Are these things everywhere? Elias asked, his voice low. The umbresh feed on resonance, Lyra explained, her voice surprisingly steady, though still strained. They are drawn to powerful Solani energy signatures. The biodome was designed to contain them, to convert our resonance into a protective barrier. Kale's reckless attempt to draw out your magic shattered that containment. They will follow us, seeking to consume the light within us. Great. So, we're walking snacks. Elias muttered, feeling a grim satisfaction that his earlier sarcasm about alien zombie apocalypse hadn't been far off. He heard a soft rustle ahead, then a wet slithering sound. Looks like they're already here. They emerged into a larger cavern, circular and vast, its ceiling lost in shadow. The air here was colder and a faint, acrid smell hung heavy. Elias's eyes widened. This wasn't a natural cavern. It was clearly a massive, long-abandoned Silene vessel, or perhaps a section of a planet ring mining ruin, repurposed and reclaimed by the biodome's encroaching life. Ancient, skeletal machinery jutted from the walls, overgrown with strange, glowing vines. At the center, a gigantic, intricately carved circular platform stood, its surface etched with symbols that seemed to pulse with faint, residual light. Lyra gasped, her luminous form flickering. The ancestral core. This is not the undercroft. This is the heart of Ethel itself. It is said to contain the combined resonance of all the resonant line who ever lived. It has been sealed for millennia. Her voice was filled with a mix of awe and trepidation. No one has entered here since the Great Sundering. As if on cue, The umbrash streamed into the cavern from the tunnel they had just exited, their chittering echoing ominously. They were cornered. Elias's gaze swept the chamber, searching for an escape, a weapon, anything. His eyes landed on a large, heavy panel on the wall, partially obscured by vines. Looks like a power conduit access, he murmured, more to himself. If I can reroute power, maybe activate some old defenses. Lyra stared at the encroaching parasites, her luminous skin dimming, almost fading into the shadows. They feed on resonance. My energies are dwindling. The core is inert. Without a living connection, it offers no protection. She looked at Elias, her eyes wide with a new raw fear. I am tired, human. The weight of my lineage, it crushes me. Her voice cracked, a rare, uncharacteristic display of vulnerability. My family, they sacrificed themselves to seal the umbrash. After the sundering, I am the last. If I fall, the resonant line ends. Ariel falls. All falls. Elias felt a surge of unexpected compassion. Her rigid, formal exterior had cracked, revealing a profound and ancient grief. Hey, he said, reaching out to gently touch her arm. Her skin was cool, and for a moment, he thought he might see faint, swirling patterns beneath its surface. We're not falling, not yet. Show me how to connect with this core. My magic might be jury-rigging, but yours is knowing how this antique tech works. He gave her a crooked, reassuring smile. Let's show these hungry shadows what a couple of stubborn survivors can do. Lyra stared at his hand on her arm, her luminescent eyes reflecting the faint glow of the chamber. She didn't flinch away. Her gaze then drifted to the pulsing symbols on the ancestral core platform. It requires a double bond, a resonance pairing, two living beings, united by purpose, connected to the core's conduits. Her voice was still quiet, but a flicker of her indigo glow returned. It is a ritual of the deepest intimacy, even for the Solani. It creates a powerful, unbreakable bond mark. Elias blinked, his hand still on her arm. Double bond? Intimacy? Listen, I just survived a crash and then an alien zombie attack. I'm not really in the mood for a blind date right now, especially one that sounds like it involves plumbing. He pulled his hand back, though the lingering sensation of her cool skin remained. Can't we just plug it in and turn it on? It is not a plug-in, human. It is a merging of spirits, a synchronization of life force. Lyra insisted, her tone regaining a fraction of its formality, though her eyes still held a haunted look. The core requires perfect resonance. Only then will its power be awakened. My ancestors used it to seal the umbrash, but they were of the same line, genetically predisposed to perfect synchronization. You are different. She looked at the encroaching umbrash, now slithering closer, their chittering growing louder. They were shadows made corporeal, their tendrils lashing out, testing the air. Different is all I got, Elias said, a desperate plan forming in his mind. He looked at the vast skeletal machinery. Show me the conduits. Maybe I can bypass the spiritual merging part and just jumpstart it manually. I'm good at hot wiring. He moved towards the largest console, partially swallowed by ancient vines, and began to prod at the inert panels. Lyra shook her head, moving to his side. The core is sentient, in a manner of speaking. It recognizes specific resonance patterns. Any attempt to force activation would be met with violent resistance. She pointed to two shimmering receptacles on the central platform, large enough for a Solani's hand. These are the points of connection. The resonance flows through the body, into the core. It demands purity of intent and a willingness to share all, to become one. Her voice was soft, laced with a strange reverence. Elias looked at the glowing receptacles, then at the approaching umbrash. They were mere meters away now, their tendrils brushing against the edge of the central platform. He could feel their hunger, a cold, empty void threatening to engulf him. All right, fine, he conceded, his voice strained. We'll do it your way. Just warn me if it feels like I'm going to sprout extra limbs or start speaking in tongues. He stepped onto the ancestral core platform, Lyra joining him. They stood opposite each other, the space between them humming with unspoken tension. The chittering of the umbrash filled the chamber. Lyra placed her luminous hands into one receptacle, and Elias, taking a deep breath, placed his human hands into the other. A jolt, like pure energy, coursed through him, different from the painful static before. This was warmer, more organic. He felt Lyra's presence, not just as a distinct entity, but as a vast, ancient consciousness expanding beside him. He saw flashes of her world, not just images but raw emotion, the majesty of her people, the beauty of their glowing cities, the profound sorrow of the sundering, her family's sacrifice, the crushing burden of being the last. Then he felt her delve into his own mind, not probing this time but sharing. She experienced his past, his isolation, his humor, the sharp edge of grief he usually kept hidden. It was invasive, overwhelming, yet strangely comforting, like being seen completely truly for the first time. The umbrash lunged. Lyra cried out, not in pain, but in a surge of power. The ancestral core flared to life, not with a gentle hum, but with a mighty roar of light. A weave of pure, concentrated resonance exploded outwards from the core, throwing the umbrash back, their chitinous forms shrieking as they dissolved into dust and smoke. Elias felt a primal surge of power, channeled through him, through Lyra, through the core itself. He saw Lyra's luminous form shift, her glow intensifying to an almost blinding white, then settling into a vibrant, pulsing indigo. Her skin seemed to ripple with liquid light, and her eyes, previously a cool, distant nebula, now burned with an inner fire, focused on him. They stood, hands still connected to the core, panting. The chamber was silent, save for the hum of the awakened ancestral core. The umbrash were gone, vanquished, but the connection, the resonance between them remained. It hummed through Elias's body, a profound intimacy that transcended physical touch. He felt her grief, her resilience, her unwavering sense of duty, now woven with his own memories of loneliness, his stubborn will to survive, his dry humor. It was a terrifying, exhilarating, deeply personal connection. Lyra broke the connection, her hands lifting slowly from the conduits. Her glow softened, her face, no longer a blank mask of authority, but etched with a profound vulnerability. She looked at her hands, then at Elias, her eyes wide. "The bond mark," she whispered, her voice husky. "It has been made, between us." Elias looked down at his own hands. There was nothing visible, no tattoo, no brand, but he felt it, a profound internal connection, a resonance with Lyra that felt as physical as a heartbeat. He could feel her raw exhaustion, the lingering terror of the umbrash, and a strange, hesitant awe. What exactly did we just do?" he asked, his own voice rough. Lyra's luminous eyes met his, and for the first time he saw a hint of something he recognized: uncertainty. "We awakened the ancestral core, and in doing so we sealed the bond. For Solani, a bond mark forged through the core's resonance is unbreakable. It is a merging of beings, a unity of purpose. It means, you are mine, and I am yours," she said, the words with a mixture of reverence and something that sounded suspiciously like dread. "It is a completion of destiny and a claim." Elias stared at her, then around the now silent, glowing chamber. "A claim? As in, you just married me to your sentient supercomputer?" He managed a weak, almost hysterical laugh. "This is a little more than pulling a quarter from behind your ear, Lyra. This is a full-blown, interspecies spiritual shotgun wedding." Lyra's luminous features were unreadable, though a faint, almost imperceptible tremor ran through her. "The umbrash are defeated. For now. Your magic resonated with my lineage's energy. It created a synergy, a powerful one." She looked at him, her gaze intense. "But the bond is real. It is a sacred law among the Solani. A bond mark from the ancestral core means your fate is now intertwined with mine. with the resonant line, and with the future of Aethel. She stepped closer, her hand reaching out, not to touch him, but to hover inches from his chest. He could feel the warmth radiating from her palm, the faint hum of her inner resonance. This is not a mere marriage, human. It is a pact, a spiritual and genetic intertwining. It means that the ancestral core now recognizes you. It will defend you, but it also means you cannot leave. You are bound to Erethel. Her voice was solemn, a pronouncement rather than a warning. Elias felt a cold dread settle in his stomach. He was a survivor, a wanderer. He'd lived his life running, avoiding attachments, and now, in a single desperate act, he was tied to an alien princess and an ancient, sentient biodome. Bound? He repeated, the word tasting like ash. As in, prisoner? Again? Lyra's glow dimmed, her expression clouding with an emotion Elias couldn't quite name. Was it sorrow? Frustration? It is not a prison, human. It is destiny. The prophecies speak of a silent resonance, one from beyond the veil, who would unite with the resonant line in a time of gravest peril. You fit the prophecy. Your magic is not a trick, Elias Vance. It is a profound ability to create harmony, to connect, to mend. It is a force of creation, not destruction. She looked at him with an intensity that made his breath catch. It is why the ancestral core accepted you, why it chose us. Together, he looked at her, truly looked at her. Her face, usually so composed, was now subtly altered by the profound experience. He saw the flicker of buried grief, the immense weight of her duty, and now, a tentative, almost fragile hope. He also saw the undeniable connection humming between them, a silent conversation of shared experience and raw emotion. He was bonded to her, in a way he couldn't comprehend, yet couldn't deny. He had traded a life of quiet solitude for a fate inextricably linked to an alien civilization, a prophecy, and a woman who believed he had magic. He found himself almost smiling, a dry, ironic twist of his lips. So, he said, breaking the silence, we gonna save the universe now, or do you have a ceremony planned? Because I might need a new suit. Lyra stared at him, her luminous eyes widening. A ceremony? She echoed, clearly baffled. The bond mark is the ceremony, human. It is the highest recognition of union. A faint, almost imperceptible shift in her glow, a hint of something resembling amusement. And a suit will not be required. Your attire is sufficient for your new role. She glanced around the chamber, now bathed in the gentle hum of the revived ancestral core. We must assess the damage. Elder Kale and his faction, they will be weakened. But the Umbrash threat may not be fully extinguished. Elias sighed, rubbing a hand across his face. Right. Post-apocalyptic honeymoon phase. Got it. He pushed away from the ancestral core platform. His leg, though still a bit sore from the crash, felt surprisingly good. The resonance, or whatever it was, seemed to have mended him in more ways than one. He watched Lyra, who was already moving with a renewed sense of purpose, examining the core's console, her glowing hands tracing lines of light across its surface. Lyra, he called out, and she turned. What was Kale's deal anyway? Why did he want to unleash the equivalent of ancient earthworms on his own people? Her glow dimmed slightly. Kale sought power. He believed the resonant line, my ancestors, had grown weak, too focused on ancient prophecies and not enough on direct governance. He desired to control the ancestral core, to bend its power to his will, to establish a new order. He believed your magic was a key to unlocking its full potential. A shortcut. He intended to bind you to him, not to me. Her voice hardened. He miscalculated. The core does not yield to force, only to true resonance. His ambition awakened the Umbrash, but his heart was corrupted. So, power grab, Elias summarized, nodding. Same old story, different planet. Always a guy trying to bypass the spirit stuff to get to the good parts. He paused, looking at her, a strange new intimacy settling between them, born of shared trauma and an unbreakable, mystical bond. So, what now? We go back up there and tell everyone your alien supercomputer just married us. I'm guessing that's gonna raise a few eyebrows. Lyra was silent for a moment. Then she turned fully to face him, her luminous eyes meeting his. The Solani will understand. The core speaks. Its resonance is undeniable, and my claim, it is now validated by the most sacred of our laws. You are the guardian of resonance, Elias Vance, my consort, and the ancestral core's chosen one. Her voice, while formal, held a soft edge now, a subtle shift in tone that Elias noticed. It was the sound of a burden shared, of a destiny embraced. She looked at him, and a flicker of something Elias could only describe as pride crossed her features. You truly possess a unique form of resonance, a powerful one. She reached out again. This time her hand rested gently on his arm. Come, we must return. Erithol awaits its new guardian. As they ascended through the ancient biodome, the path behind them hummed with the revitalized energy of the ancestral core. The sickly plants that had withered under the Umbrash's assault were slowly regaining their bioluminescence, a faint, restorative glow spreading through the once darkened chambers. The air smelled cleaner somehow, infused with a new vitality. Elias felt a profound sense of exhaustion, but also a strange, exhilarating lightness. The shared resonance with Lyra, the knowledge of their bond was a constant, subtle presence, a quiet hum beneath his skin. It was an overwhelming intimacy he'd never known, an echo of her thoughts and feelings, her resolve and her quiet strength. They emerged into the central chambers of the biodome, the same ones where Elias had been brought for the trial of resonance. The devastation wrought by the Umbrash was clear: shattered crystalline structures, scorch marks on the living walls, the faint, lingering scent of decay. But many Solani survivors were already at work, their glowing forms moving methodically, tending to the wounded, clearing debris, their usual stoic composure slowly returning as the reassuring hum of the ancestral core spread through the biodome. As Lyra and Elias stepped into the main hall, a hushed silence fell. All eyes, luminous and expectant, turned towards them. Their forms, once rigid with grief and fear, now held a glimmer of hope. Lyra stood tall, her indigo glow vibrant, her posture radiating a quiet authority that had been tempered by vulnerability. Elias stood beside her, a human amidst beings of light, feeling the strange, unfamiliar weight of a shared destiny. An elder, his glow a muted green, stepped forward, his voice tremulous. Daughter of the resonant line. We felt the core awaken. We felt the resonance. The Umbrash. They vanished. What occurred? Lyra's gaze swept across her people, her luminous eyes conveying a mixture of relief and solemnity. The ancestral core has been reawakened. Its power is restored. The Umbrash have been driven back to the deep, and the prophecies have been fulfilled. She turned, her hand gently taking Elias's, the subtle warmth of her touch. The internal hum of their bond was a private reassurance. I present to you Elias Vance, the guardian of resonance. He is the silent resonance spoken of in the ancient scrolls. He is my bondmate, my consort, and the ancestral core has confirmed his claim. A collective gasp rippled through the Solani. Whispers erupted, a flurry of melodic sounds that Elias couldn't comprehend but understood the sentiment of. He felt a blush creep up his neck. Being announced as someone's consort to an entire alien civilization was definitely a new one for his resume. He caught a glimpse of Lyra's eyes, and for a fleeting moment, he saw a flicker of dry humor, a silent acknowledgement of the absurdity of it all. Later, as they stood overlooking the main hall, watching the Solani begin the long process of restoration, Elias turned to Lyra. So, this is it then? My new life? Lyra's luminous gaze was fixed on the rebuilding efforts. It is a life of purpose, Elias Vance. A life entwined with the future of Aethel. You are no longer merely a survivor. You are a cornerstone, a guardian, and the energies of the core will continue to infuse you. It is a gift, a testament to your unique resonance. She turned to him, her eyes soft. And the bond, it means you will not be alone. Not anymore. He looked into her luminous eyes, seeing beyond the formal pronouncements, beyond the cultural roles. He saw the woman who had faced death beside him, who had revealed her grief, who had chosen him in a moment of desperation, and who now accepted him with a quiet, profound acceptance. He knew he was tethered to this alien world, to its ancient prophecies and its strange customs. He was Lyra's consort, her bondmate, and something inside him, something long dormant, stirred and settled into place. "Yeah," he said, a genuine smile touching his lips. "I guess I won't be. Thanks for the, upgrade." He paused, then added, a hint of his old dry humor returning. "Just promise me you'll try to explain the whole magic thing to your people, because I'm pretty sure if I try to fix your plumbing with a wrench, they're gonna be disappointed." Lyra's lips, or what passed for them on her luminous face, curved in a subtle, almost imperceptible smile. Her glow brightened, reflecting a genuine inner warmth. "Your magic is not in wrenches, Elias Vance. It is in the connection, in the unexpected, in the resilience of your spirit, and in your humor." Her gaze held his, warm and steady. "It is indeed a profound mystery, the human heart, but a captivating one." He looked out at the glowing biodome, at the Silani, at the vast alien sky beyond. His ship was a wreck, his old life a distant memory, but he was here, with Lyra, bound to her, to this world, to a future he never could have imagined. And for the first time in a long time, he felt truly, deeply, home. The alien girl still insisted he had magic, and he just smiled.